Okay, so thank you again for joining us this morning. We're excited to have all of you on the call, and we're passionate about what it is we're going to share today. Like I always say, our mentors are amazing women and men from different aspects of technology based on the track that you are on. And these are people who have very busy lives but have decided to give back to the community to support you on your growth. And the only thing we ask for is your commitment to this course for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So myself and Jayshree, we have Rachel as well, who will be joining us soon, are the mentors for this track on AI agents with Copilot. So three of us here, and I'm sure we've heard a lot about AI agents, about Copilot and all that. So I'm going to get into it within the next 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, so what are we going to talk about? We're going to do an introduction, which is today, talk about what Copilot Studio is, what conversational AI is, and then week 2, we're going to the building basics of an agent, right? What are all the basic stuff in Copilot Studio that we can use to build your AI agents? Then we go to working with data and Power Automate integration. So we know that Power Automate, for those of us that don't know, is one of the tools in the Microsoft Power Platform stack that helps to automate, it's kind of the engine behind moving stuff from data from one point to the other. So for example, if you have built a leave form, say with Power Apps, so you have like your Power Apps application that is a leave form, but that's just an interface, right? For you to put your data in. Then you need approvals. Oh, so when I submit my leave, my manager needs to approve, and my manager's manager, my skip manager. How do you do that? Power Automate is the engine that runs that flow at the back, that automation at the back. So we can also leverage the power of Power Automate in AI agents, and that's what we're going to look at in that class. Then we start to go to advanced dialogue management and user experience. What does that look like? Then how do you publish? What channels can you publish this on? And what are some of the security measures you need to put in place as we do that? And then we start to talk about our capstone projects. So we're all going to work on a project. Our goal, Jayshree, myself, and Rachel, is to put us into groups. Maybe we're grateful that our class is not very large, so we can be in groups of 2, or 3, and then we can work together. Or we can also have individual projects. But I like team projects because it gives you the feel of working with other people, not just yourself, which is one of the skills that we want to develop. So Ellie will be taking us on soft skills later in 2 or 3 weeks' time. And one of the things she's going to talk about is teamwork, So that's the goal. So at the end, you're going to do a project, and then you're going to present that as well, because we're not just about training. Training is fantastic, yes, but you need to see something that you have done out of the training. So that's the plan for the next couple of weeks. Same time every Saturday for 6 weeks. And then we'll start the project early, do it along the line, and then we'll be done. All right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat, or you can also wait till the end. We'll take everything at the end. So what is Copilot Studio? I have a short video here that I want to play, a 1-minute video. Please let me know if you can hear it.
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right, I hope somebody's excited. So we could see the difference, right? When we didn't have the power of Copilot, it was just like, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, Copilot, like so 365 Copilot was like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about, right? But when we bought Copilot Studio in, we could go into SAP to get the information out and then layer that on top of that, the chat GPT model that would make the agent understand natural language and was able to come back with specifics on the user's request. So that is the next level that Copilot Studio is bringing into play with your agents. So what is a Copilot Studio is just using generative AI to assist humans with our complex cognitive tasks. And some of that includes chat with natural language. Um, we determine as we build, we determine, guide, and approve the output, and it also increases, it brings value. It increases the value that we get. So those are some of the things that Copilot gives to us. Now, we'll just go back to the stack of the Power Platform so we understand a bit about what the wider picture is and then what we're zooming in on today. So this is Power Platform. There are a lot of apps. In my example of the Live application, I mentioned, Power Apps. Power Apps can be used as the interface, which is here, for the application development, right? Then Power Automate is for process automation. So all of the, once I click on submit, I want my manager to approve, and my manager's manager, all of that is being enabled by Power Automate. Then Power BI is our data analytics tool that brings all of the data to life. So we have all of the data that we've gotten in the Live application submitted to a database, like maybe SQL or Dataverse, but we need intelligence. We need to know, how many people have gone on leave this year? How many people have not gone on leave yet? Are we experiencing burnout in the organization where people are not going on leave at all? So Power BI would be that dashboard that we can see all of those reports from. And then Copilot Studios, what we're talking about today, Intelligence Copilot. And then Microsoft has Power Pages as well for external websites. So this is kind of it. And then below we have our data connectors, which is what Power Automate uses to get data from different systems, like what it did to go into SAP in the video we watched, SAP, to get data out of it. AI Builder is Microsoft's AI model that has different out of the box model for things like form extra, OCR, optical character recognition. So you have an invoice, you want to get all of the data out of that rather than typing manually. You can use one of the out of the box models here to just get the document scanned, to extract everything and automatically feed it into the fields. So that's one of the examples among many others. Then Dataverse is Microsoft's native database for the Power Platform and for Dynamics as well. So that's where all of the data can go into. For Power Apps, model-driven apps, that's the default, or you can use other database engines, but this is the native one. Then Power FX is kind of the formulas you write when you are creating your Power Apps. And manage environment just says all your applications are in one space. What do you want to do about that? So that's whistle through example of or explanation of what the Power Platform is in a nutshell. But today our focus is on Copilot Studio. So Copilot Studio is that end-to-end AI products for building your own copilots or extending Microsoft Copilot with Gen AI or large language models and your data. So that's what Copilot Studio is. So just imagine that you have an agent, right? Or you can also call it a bot, but it's much more intelligent because it now uses all of these Gen AI and large language models for it. And at the end of the class, Jeshri is going to show us a demo so that all of these things can just come to life as that we've been talking about. So you get a picture of it. So there are different building journeys for different needs. So I know some of us that are a bit familiar with the Copilot stack can be like, but I have there's Microsoft 365 Copilots. And then now talking of Copilot Studio, and then there's also the Azure AI Studio as well. So how do we determine which goes where, So how do I decide on what to use to build my agents? So first of all, on this spectrum, we have Microsoft 365 Copilot Charts and Copilot Studio. So you can include Copilot Studio within Microsoft 365 to extend it. So what does that mean? Connect data sources outside Copilot's reach, call your redesign business processes and flows. So this example is just talking about extending the regular Microsoft 365 charts with Copilot Studio. So let me give you a simple illustration. For some of us that are not familiar with Microsoft 365 charts, Copilot charts, the name keeps changing. So it's the Copilot charts for business that you have within your Microsoft 365 tenants. So the way you have Teams, Microsoft Teams that we are on now. Microsoft has something called Copilot charts, Microsoft 365 Copilot charts. And what that does is you can ask it questions like, how many meetings am I going to have today? Can you give me a summary of the last time I spoke to Jayshree? And how do I prepare for my next meeting with her? So all that chat does is it goes into like your Teams, your Outlook to check for the stuff that you've done. It also goes into maybe your SharePoint or OneDrive that you have access to bring out all of that and then gives you a result. But if you ask it, like we saw in the video, how many leave days do I have? It's not going to have an answer for you because that data doesn't sit in the native Microsoft 365 tools. It sits outside of that system. And that's where you can use Copilot Studio to extend it to say, okay, I still want my people to chat through Microsoft 365 chats, but it's not getting them all the answers. So I want to extend it out to go to SAP to get that data for them. Then you can use Copilot Studio for that extension. So that's what this is. Now, we now talk about a standalone in a situation where, I want to build an agent on my websites or in my Teams, right? I don't want people to be going to Microsoft 365 charts because all of my users come to Teams. That's where they start their day from. So I want my agents to be within Teams, like the HR example, so that when they start their day, their Teams comes up from within Teams. They can access it, or maybe it's your intranet that comes up. So, but I don't want my own inside the Microsoft 365 chat. I want it inside the intranet portal for my company that comes up by default when they open their laptops. Okay. In that case, what you need to build is a standalone Copilot, a standalone agent with Copilot Studio, where you can then do all of your definitions, use the pre-built LLM, your data source, everything. But when you're publishing it, you just publish it to your intranets. So that whenever your intranet opens, you just see the agents and say, how can I help you? Or if it's in Teams, once you open up your Teams, on the left pane, you just see your agents there. If you pinned it there, and they can say, I want to chat with maybe Dora is the name of your HR agent. You just go there and they can ask questions from it. So that's this standalone. Now, when you look at the end of the spectrum, Azure AI Studio, when you start getting into AI Studio, why should you do that? Sometimes it can be because of the amount of control you want, right, on your agents. So for example, in Copilot Studio, you don't have control over the UI, the user interface, right? User interface is predefined by Microsoft. So maybe the only thing you can do is maybe change the icon to something else, put one SVG there so that it looks in a particular way. But you can't say, I don't like this color, I want to change it to purple or something like that. No, you can't. So if you have a scenario like that where there is a need from, I think it was Vivian that said she wants to help small businesses, a small business, and you want to really customize that for them, then maybe, and they say, oh, we don't like the look of this one. We want, maybe Azure AI Studio is the answer. Then maybe you don't want to use the GTP 4.0, I think is the default one. I need to check again. There's a pre-built LLM model that Copilot uses for these generative answers. And maybe you're like, I don't like that one. I want to use another model. Then you have to come to the end of the spectrum in AI Studio where you can select your model. Or let's say somebody in your team has built an Azure semantic search. You have your data engineers that have built a semantic search in Azure, or you have your data warehouse that has the data that you need. Maybe you have to come to this end of it, Azure AI Studio. But the good news is this. What Microsoft is doing now is they have now introduced this Extend Copilot Studio with Azure AI Studio. So they are now, I think the last time I checked, it was in preview. I'm not sure if it's out now. But what they're now saying is, oh, you know what we can do? What we can do is, we know that there are some people that don't really want to go into AI Studio because they're not pro developers, right? We will now give the ability to bring your Azure workloads into Copilot Studio. So if you have built your Azure semantic search, you can bring that into your AI agents in Copilot Studio. So this is a very long explanation for this slide, but I hope it helps with some of the practical examples that I've given to say, okay, this is what it looks like. Sorry. This is what it looks like end to end. So we are here in the middle, building your bot as a standalone. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat so you don't forget. All right, so moving on. Now we're talking about the end-to-end Copilot's conversation, right? And I know this session is slide heavy and it's because it's an introduction. The other ones will be more practical. So what does that look like? One, you have to author your topics. And next week, we're going to talk about topics in a bit more. So there are different ways you can author your topics. So topics are when you're creating your agents, what are the things you want people to ask from these agents, right? So if it's an HR agent, like Dora, our example, or I don't know, if somebody has a nicer name, we can go with that. So this is our AI agent for HR. And what do you want people to ask it? So that's what the topics are about. What are the questions that you want people to ask it? So you create these topics, and those topics you can either originate them on your own or use Copilot to assist you in all. So for example, somebody wants to leave application, leave policy, all of that will be different topics. So you can do that. I'm here, author topics. Then the next stage is generative AI answers queried at scale. So you can use generative answers or actions against those topics so that when people ask things that are similar to it, it understands. So back in the days when we had Power Virtual Agent, I worked with it a bit. It was Power Virtual Agent is kind of like the mother of Copilot Studio. Let's put it that way. It's very restrictive. So if you ask it a question that doesn't look exactly like what you have built out in this topic, it will tell you, sorry, I don't have an answer for you. That's what it should just say. So, but what Gen AI does now is it's able to create that level of reasoning and understanding to say, oh, if somebody says, how many leave days do I have left? Because I went on leave for 5 days before last year, or maybe somebody says, oh, I went on leave last year, I went on another leave again, I went on another leave again. Like the person says a lot of story, and I don't really know what to do now, and I still want to go on leave again, you know. But what the person is just asking is, how many days do I have left? Or what is the leave policy? Oh, I went on maternity leave. Can I take my annual leave? But instead of just asking directly, the person just gives so much context If it was before Gen AI and before the LLM models, the bot will not understand. So sorry, I don't have a response for you. But with this AI agent now, is able to reason, say, okay, what this person just wants to know is what is the leave policy. So that's the level that it brings to it. And then stage 3 is escalations. So we're able to build in escalations also into our flow, where when you're creating the topic, you can say, okay, if somebody asks something really unique and you can't answer it as my agent, you can escalate it to a live agent and hand it off, hand the conversation off to a person that can answer it. So that's the escalation there. And there are different ways to escalate. You can hand off to a live agent as an escalation. And in the past, some of the agents have built handed that conversation off to a Teams channel dedicated to that. So let's say the HR guys have a channel. It will just pass the message across using the Power Automate we spoke about. So say, oh, sorry, this question was asked and it can't be answered. Can you please attend to it? So those are the that's kind of the way it flows end to end. Okay. Let me see. So Copilot and conversational AI. So we've spoken about building, about extending as well. So this kind of the whole ecosystem of it. These are the custom Copilots that we are building. Or maybe it can also be built by third party. This is the Microsoft 365 charts I spoke about, which we can extend in Copilot Studio. Then some of the other applications also have Copilots in them. Like there's Copilots for sales, for service. These are Dynamics products. And there's also Copilot in all of the Power Platform applications that we spoke about. And then we also have in SharePoint as well, and some of the other Microsoft tools. But in between is Microsoft Copilot Studio, which is why it's an important knowledge to have, because it helps you to extend and to customize first-party applications. So you can extend all of this here with your Microsoft Copilot Studio. And then you can now bring in your Azure workloads as well here into your Copilot Studio in order to achieve the extensions that you need. So what are the circles of your AI agents? You build and publish it, analyze, and you improve it. So this is kind of the journey of building your own AI agents. So the first thing is you create it, which you will see. Then you need to design the conversation. So how do you design the conversation? Connect it to your knowledge base. So a knowledge base can be a website, right? Or maybe a document, or maybe a SharePoint site that has 10 or 5 documents or 15 documents. So you can connect it there for generative AI-based knowledge and then create rules around it to say, like what we said, oh, if you can answer this, escalate to an agent, end this with a survey, or pull data from SAP. All of those are the rules that we can create using Power Automate. And then you can publish it to different channels. So I mentioned Teams before, I mentioned the website before, applications, social media channels. There's so many of them. We'll cover when we're talking about publishing. Then control and improve it. So we need to monitor it as well. You need to see, oh, how is my agent doing? And Microsoft gives us an interface to monitor it. And also security and control is very important. So maybe it's a bot that you only want certain people to use, not everybody in the enterprise. Or yeah, and there are some other controls that are around access, around authentication. So all of that is also how you manage the agents. So this is what the interface looks like. Jayshree will show us in a bit from her PC. So we can come to this Copilot Studio link, create it, build it there, then add it to your knowledge base. So this is it, and you can connect up to you can use WAP's 1000 plus predefined data connectors because it leverages Power Automate, right? So all of the connectors you have in Power Automate is here. And you can add your knowledge. So knowledge is on the website, in a document, in SharePoint, on OneDrive, in Dataverse, and even Fabric as well. I think this should be live already public now. So add your knowledge. So you're creating it, you create your agent, add the knowledge, then you customize it. So what do I want to happen about this travel budget here? So in this travel budget, I want it at some point, if somebody asks a question, I want it to go into SAP to get my data for me and then create a generative answer for the person. So that's what it looks like in the process. And then publish and go live instantly. So the good thing about this is on the right here, you can test your agents real time. Sorry, you may see Copilot somewhere, but it's Microsoft's calling them AI agents now. Just disclaimer, anywhere you see, you know that we're talking of agents. So you can publish and deploy to any channel of your choice here. And then you can also test it real life as well here. Okay, I think the test screen is here. So once you create it, you can test it yourself here and see if it's responding the way you want it to before you publish. All right, and then this is the monitoring screen. So from here, you can monitor, you can see what the engagement is like. Are people abandoning your bot halfway? Maybe they just ask a question. The drop-off rates, maybe your engagement rate is so low. Once people have gotten on it, they ask something, they just abandon it. It's not answering them, you know. What's the escalation rate as well? Abandon rate, escalation rate, engagement. What's the total number of sessions that you have? So all of this is insights that will help you to improve your AI agents. And then you can fine tune it as you go along. So once you get the feedback, oh, something is not working as I expected it to, or maybe people are asking about something that you haven't even thought about. So this is a common question that comes. I didn't know that. You just keep analyzing and improving it. And then you can add additional conversational services from Azure. You know, I mentioned that you can bring in some of the workloads that you have in Azure, basically, and bring it also to improve your bots. So in summary, this is what the end-to-end process of creating your agents looks like. You know, so create it, you manage it, you can from here build and publish, and it's live in a few minutes, which we will see together when we start getting into the hands-on. So this is the first screen, then you chat over knowledge with Gen AI, create your topics, your actions, the process. What do you want to happen as what's the user journey as they interact with your agents? You publish it, you improve it, and you can integrate it with AI services if you want to. Okay, so I will now hand over to Jayshree to give you some use cases that we have in the real world today.
Sure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Fine. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Is it visible now?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So, welcome everyone. So, as Point has demonstrated everything most of on Copilot Studio, and Copilot Studio is really amazing tool to build your own low code agents. Agents are like our personal assistants, so we can easily make those agents, and we can make our life easy, and we can increase our productivity. So, what are the business use cases where we can start building those agents? Let's understand those. So in B2C, business to customer, business to business, and there is B2E, there are multiple business use cases. Actually, there are uh, in all sectors, I would say, from HR to all the other products as well. We can start building agents. We will start with customer support. So basically, if there are multiple FAQs on our site, and every other user is just asking the questions on email, or uh, we need to provide them response, right? There are like customer inquiries. For example, I want to return my item. What is the opening time? What is the closing time? These general queries. So what needs to be done? We can have a customer support agent where I can immediately set up my agent, and that agent would just take over the all the responsibilities which the person was doing, and now this person can consume or invest his time in some productive work. So this is another customer support. Then there is supplier interaction. So if I what is my component order at the moment, what is the order status, these kind of communications between business and the suppliers for managing orders or track shipments can be easily transformed to agent. HR one in simple to we can simplify the HR processes as well. In most of the organizations now it's taking over. If you see, most of the users are just getting these through HR agent. Uh, these are the usual processes like starting onboarding processes, or what are the tasks required, what trainings are required for this new colleague. Everything can be sorted out with these agents. There are other products and services agents as well, lead qualifications. So basically we can start building on our agent, and slowly we can extend those agents up based on our requirements. Expense management, where we can ask what are the list of pending expenses from this week. I will give you a walkthrough of kind of customer support agent as well. So basically, generative AI is changing with the bot building. And we are using generative AI. That means we can build number of topics. We can take help from Copilot. And this is, if you see the graph, re- uh, just based on our business criticality, we can build the topics, and we can just go on. We can build on those and extending this bot with business critical topics. And we can easily use 1,000 plus pre-built connectors. So if you are working with ServiceNow, you want to automate your process. You don't need to go to the ServiceNow tool. Through your agent published on MS Teams, you can ask all the questions. So this would be another kind of extension. So I can ask, what are my incidents raised? What is the status of that incident? Rather than navigating to ServiceNow, I'll be just using that agent, and we can publish this agent in wider channels. I will show you all the channels as well. For example, MS Teams, demo website, Facebook. So based on the requirements, we can have that. At the moment, there are more than 30,000 customers across every industry. They are using Copilot Studio. And if you can see, there are all the customers, all the number of organizations are working with them, including Robobank, PayPal, Holland, America Line, Accenture, HP, and Cineplex, and there are many more which are not listed here as well. So basically, this is the Copilot Studio architecture where we get world-class user interface. We don't need to build generative AI because that is inbuilt. That's the main feature, I would say. We are just discussing in natural language, and Copilot is understanding our intent, semantic search, every other thing. It's easily searching and getting us the desired responses. It's definitely a next gen AI, next version of Gen AI. They keep on building new features and new models as well. And it has connected experience because there are more than 1,000 connectors, and it integrates with Power Platform as well as Azure OpenAI Studio, which includes multiple models, including third-party models. It doesn't limit it to Microsoft, but we can have multiple Gen AI models as well. And Copilot Studio lifecycle from ALM automation to test pen, collaboration, solution management, it's really easy. If you have worked with Power Platforms, so whenever you start working, you would definitely start with a solution, and the same solution can have Copilot Studio as well. And last, security and governance. Yeah, so it has all the guardrails around it. It has all the granular DLP controls. We can control when do we need to publish. We can control the limiting or sharing those agents. There are number of governance controls around Copilot agent. Moving to the robust, secure, and compliant hosting platform. So basically, it has, as I explained, there is no standing access to data. It's just transparent with all the security controls, including data protection, data loss prevention, DLP policies, identity management. There is data privacy with compliance part, government hosting, and compliance standard. We can monitor and manage these agents with usage analytics. Basically, you can view how many agents have been created in the organization, who is creating, is that really getting adopted, what data sources are getting used, which connectors have used, and if that contains any sensitive information, then we can easily block those. We can log all the activities, we can see all the activities under security and compliance. So there are number of best practices provided and we can follow easily. So this integrates with Azure Power Platform with all the secure governance. Yeah, so there are Microsoft responsible AI principles, as you must be knowing. I would just give brief on this. So Microsoft has established 6 core principles to guide the responsible development and deployment of AI. First is fairness. AI systems should treat all individuals with equality and to avoid bias, reliability, and safety. So AI should function as intended and be resilient to failures. Next is privacy and security, which safeguards user data and ensure confidentiality. Inclusiveness. So with Gen AI, it's accessible and beneficial to all. Transparency is we should be under AI system should be understandable and with their decision making processes would be clear. Accountability. So developers and organization must take responsibility for AI outcomes. Microsoft integrates all these principles into AI research, engineering, policy efforts to ensure AI is developed ethically and responsibly. So that's how we can see how these agents are making our life easier. We can use Copilot Studio with confidence because of all these AI, 6 core principles. And now it's time to have a quick demo. To start with, I'll just give you from the scratch. So what you can do, Copilot Studio, if you know if you have developed anything in Power Apps, then usually you just type make.powerapps.com. So I will show you different ways to navigate to Copilot Studio. From here, if you just from left navigation, if you see Power Platform, and then you can see Copilot Studio. Otherwise, you can just type copilotstudio.microsoft.com. This is the link. Once you land on the home page, you would able to see on left navigation home tab, which shows us all the recent Copilot agents. Then there is a library of agents, which gives us more idea how these agents can be created. These are the pre-built agents. We can start working with this as well and redefine the agents as per our requirements. And this is the panel where you can just type your prompt in natural language and it would help us to create the agent. And if you go down here, learning resources are showing up. So all the learning resources would be available here. You can have a free Copilot workshop. You can register for this. There is learn document, how you can provide security and governance. Everything, all the resources have been provided over here. So next one is create agent. We can start with new agent from here. I'll just give you walkthrough and then we'll be back From here, you can start on this agent panel. You can create new agent or you can import agent. So if somebody has created agent, and if you want to import on your environment or on your tenant, you can easily do that from here. There are agent flows and then library. Library shows up all the pre-built agents or connectors as well here. And this is the tool which is used to create standalone agents. Otherwise, we can extend M365 agents as well. Okay, let's start with home button. And now if I want to create a new agent, I will start with here, and we let's start today with website Q&A agent. I will show you one of the existing agent, and then we will move, if time allows us, we can start creating a new agent. So this one has been built out across built for Microsoft site, where I can just ask all the questions and agent will help me to give the answer. So what needs to be done? What are the minimum requirements to create an agent? I need to just provide the name, description. Description, that's for your understanding. So you can just provide whatever description of that agent you can provide in your language here, in natural language. Instruction is the most important part, where you need to define what would be the behavior of the agent and what would be the task and how you want to complete it. So you can define in bullet points as well. I just want to maintain a professional tone or funny tone. I want to assist on the answering the questions which would be asked by customer. If you have any specific format, then you can provide that format as well. And I'm just mentioning here, there are no specific topics that are off limits for discussion. Later on, we will see what are the starter prompts. And if you see knowledge, I can add knowledge from here. We can add public websites as well. And I simply can provide any public website. At the moment, if you see, the Microsoft site has been already added. But otherwise, you can add your SharePoint URLs as well if you want to build out any agent from your internal data sources, internal documentation of SharePoint. Later on, you can have other data, as Afoin has explained, all these step-by-step guidance. We can have Dataverse, we can have Dynamics 365 as a data source, and there are number of 1,000+ connectors, data sources which can be added. Now, recently the functionalities like I can upload any of my uh, desktop file here, and that can be used as a knowledge source. So this one is Microsoft knowledge source at the moment added, and I would just click on the create. So we'll start from the beginning to advanced, definitely, because this is first class. So I will give you the overview how to get started with Copilot Studio to create new agents.
Yeah, yeah. I think we the this demo is great for the first class, like you said, and then next week we can start the going into the details from the beginning.
Yeah,
So I agree. Yes.
thank you. So if you see here, our agent is ready. Can you imagine within few seconds, our agent is ready, and now that agent is going to answer us as per the questions. So if you see, I'll show you. We have given Microsoft site um as a data source. If I want to search out any content from Microsoft site, that would take time for me. Couple of minutes, I need to search here, then I don't know what information will become available immediately. But with this agent, I would be easily search all the content. And if I want to ask questions, so your agent is ready. Now you can test your agent on this left side panel. Because we gave the name website Q&A, It's saying that, hello, I am your Copilot website question answer Copilot. Please ensure knowledge sources. You can customize this message as well, but later on we will check on this. Let's start with any question. So regarding Microsoft, I can ask question, what is Copilot or what is Microsoft? I just want to understand what is the Microsoft company. So yeah. So quickly it's fetching all the responses, all the answers for my question. And if you see, all the references have been provided. And I can navigate to those references, which gives me confidence that all the answers are correct. I can revalidate those. Everything has been added over here. And I can ask multiple questions. So if I say how agents are making life easier, if you see, all the navigations are showing up from here as well. So whatever generative answer is generating, here you go. So all the references are showing up. Now I'll show you a few more settings. So from here, I can publish my agent. I just need to click on the publish button. And I can define which channels I want to publish it. Feel free to close this window. Let's navigate to other tabs. This is channels where we can configure where we want to publish. So at the moment, telephony, if I want to publish it on Teams, I can just click here, demo website, web app. I want to publish it on Facebook, Skype. So these are easily available channels and we can have multiple channels as well. If you see overview, I can see from here, knowledge, because we had added public website, it's showing up, and from here as well, I can add knowledge as I described previously. Then topics. There are like custom topics and system topics. We will navigate on this point possibly next session or third session. There are custom topics and system topics. We can create some actions, and then it shows up all the activities, and easily we can see all analytics, how what is the performance of my agent, how many questions were asked, how those were answered. Everything would be showing up here. All the engagement would be visible. So let's navigate to now settings. Once you navigate to settings, you would be able to change your icon. That was possible on first page as well, but from here you can change the agent name, you can change the icon. Here you can see generative AI. So at the moment it's using classic, otherwise we can change it to generative option, which use like find mentioned GPT 3.5 or 4 to respond our questions which are not available in knowledge source. So basically at the moment I have provided Microsoft website as a knowledge source, but let's consider I'm asking any questions on weather. That agent won't be able to answer. But if I have enabled generative AI, then with the generative AI, it would be able to answer from the wider knowledge. I can change the moderation. There are premium features, multiple features. We will see more details later on about this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so on this security, I'll just quickly walk through because we are over time. Regarding authentication, this is most important security and governance feature. We can enable no authentication. That means it would be publicly in any channel, but it's you need to be careful doing while doing this. So that's why there should be some governance process. and guardrailing our data. We should not leak our organization's data and authenticate with Microsoft. This should be authentication set method, which will allow Microsoft Teams, Power Apps, and M365 Copilot authentication with Intra ID and authenticate manually. So these are the most important setting for today's agent. We will look into more detail as we go along. So I hope you got the basic idea on Copilot Studio and how to get started with creating new agent. Thank you so much. If any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah.
Over to you, Fine.
Thank you so much, Jeshri. And I think the demo was great because it was able to bring life to everything that we've been saying. So you're not trying to form a mental picture of what you're not aware of. So thank you, Jeshri. That was really, really nice. And as we go along in the sessions, I know that the demo was very quick. We would see more of how to build that and the kind of branches you can put into it. All right. So do we have any questions? You can feel free to omit your mic. Um, any questions for us?
So I have a question. So the aspect whereby she added Microsoft to the links, let's say we want to grant access to a staff to a particular file, we just